It was around 2:30 today when a concerned neighbor contacted our department and informed that there was a swarm of flies surrounding the residence of her neighbor. Police responded, and based on the information received, the officers reached the entrance to the residence, where they discovered the body of Mr. Darold Miller in an advanced state of decomposition. At present, foul play is not suspected in this matter. However, an autopsy will be performed to determine the exact cause of death. On behalf of our Commissioner of Police, Mr. Peyton Fernandez, the senior executive leadership team, the members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, we extend our condolences to the family, and we ask that everyone keep them in prayer during this most difficult time.
Any word on when neighbors would have possibly seen Miller last alive?
For the last time he was seen, we're told, on Friday. And so just on the heel of that, I want to encourage Bahamians everywhere to just check on your neighbors, check on your family members. You know, sometimes persons get sick, you haven't heard from them for a couple of hours. At least call and just check, so that in the event something goes wrong, they're able to get medical attention, and we don't have situations of this, sort occurring. So let's just be more, look out for one another just a little bit more.
Are we able to say perhaps how long his body may be?
It's difficult, as I indicated before, it's in the advanced state of decomposition, and so it's difficult to say at this particular time. But let's await the results of the autopsy, and then we can speak more definitively to it.
How soon can that autopsy happen?
Well, hopefully within this week, we hope. Thank you so much, members of the press.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us, and welcome to Lincoln Bain Live on this Sunday evening. We always enjoy spending our Sundays with you, and thank you again for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a special show planned today to talk about the crime situation in this country, to talk about where we are in terms of murder and compare it to the rest of the world and other cities like us. Ladies and gentlemen, something happened shortly before it was time for us to go live, and we have to bring you aware, make the Bahamian public aware of what happened. And of course, by now, some of you should have heard that Bahamian legend Darold Miller has passed away. Miller,
It was around 2:30 today when a
Darold Miller, as we said, is a Bahamian legend. Darren Miller is a Bahamian legend. He is a journalist extraordinaire. He has trained many of the journalists in this country. He has taught most of them the skills that they have, and he has been an influence to others that he didn't train directly, including myself. I first met Darold Miller when I was a police officer working on Bay Street. I met Darold Miller because the Bahama Journal had printed a story, and they had actually used the picture of me and my partner at the time to it seemed to get more purchases for their paper. A Bahama Journal journalist had actually saw us on Bay Street and asked us to take a picture. And we said, okay, we were in uniform, and he said, okay, we'll take a picture. And he took a picture of me and my partner. And then the next day, when we saw the papers, the headlines of the papers was a police officer had murdered his wife, and we were like, "What is this?" But underneath the picture in small writing, it had police officers hard at work on Bay Street, cleaning up Bay Street, something to that effect. So the picture was about us, but it was a small little caption underneath the picture. But in the headline over the picture, it had that police officer had done this thing. And so we marched up to, from Central Police Station, we marched up to the Bahama Journal, which was right there on East Street North. And we went in there and asked to see the editor. And it was Darold Miller at the time. And he was so professional, and he gave us such a warm smile. And he actually thought it was funny. And he apologized, and he said that they will put an apology in the paper. And that was my first experience with him as a young man. I was probably, I don't remember how old I was, but I probably was a teenager, probably 19 years old. And that was my first experience with Darold Miller. But he treated us so gently, and he had so much charisma as he dealt with us. We lost all of our anger, and he made us laugh at the situation, and we let it go because I came there big and bold. Oh, we're gonna sue you guys, and by the time as he was finished with us, we're totally disassembled of our anger, and that was it. That was my first experience with this charismatic Bahamian. And then, because later I decided to go into journalism myself, not as a part of any station, I decided to do something called Controversy TV because I wanted to show the Bahamas as it really was. I wanted to really question the politicians that I felt like media at the time was not questioning politicians or pastors or anyone with power. And even persons like Darold Miller, they had shows that were very good and very popular at the time. But with these shows, if you dared call a politician name, they would hang up on you. Daryl called himself the cutter, and he would actually hang up the phone on you. And a lot of a lot of talk show hosts at the time would do the same thing because not because it was against the law to call their name, but because they were afraid of the backlash from allowing you to call their name on these new live stations or shows. And so I said, no. I want to bring out a show, and I want to call their names. I want to say what is going on with them as long as it is the truth. Why shouldn't we be able to do that? And that was the birth of Controversy TV and what we did. And Daryl Miller respected what we were doing, and he would call with advice, and he would give advice on how we should do what we were doing. And sometimes he would tell us to be aware, be afraid. These fellas are dangerous. These fellas are dirty. This is a dangerous game. This is like mafia. Be careful. You're touching some dangerous stuff. And of course, me not being afraid of anything would always comfort him by telling him God is on the throne. He's always in control. And there came a time when Daryl Miller had been removed from radio, and so he had nowhere to have a voice. And so we decided to let him come with us and guest host on Controversy TV. Over the years, I've done that with many talk show hosts who found themselves in a situation where, because of their stance or whatever else, whatever that situation was, they no longer had a voice. And I would always give them a home on whatever show that I was on. I did the same thing with Rodney Munker. I did the same thing with Lady Russell. I'm not sure, but I might have done it with Chrissy Love also. I don't remember. But I definitely did it with Daryl Miller and others. When they were rejected from wherever they were for whatever reason, we would always give them a place, a home where they could continue to do their voice. Because when that is your only comfort, when it is what you're doing, what you're used to, and to be pulled away from that, that is a form of violence. That could leave a person feeling lost. And so I always felt it necessary to say, okay, I'll give you a voice. Just whatever you got in trouble for, don't bring that here, but I'll give you a voice and allow you to speak during this time. I remember having hell trying to bring Rodney Munker onto a show that I was onto More 94. They didn't want him to be on there because they didn't want any political risk. And I convinced them, and I had to row them and tell them, this is my show. You have to let Rodney Munker on. Let him have a voice. He's not going to say anything out of the way. He's smarter than he puts out to be. And so I got to have him on the show a few times. And I did the same thing with Daryl Miller. We would bring him on TV with Controversy TV, and we would allow him to speak. And we befriended him. He always looking for a friend. He lived alone from that time to this, as far as I know. And he got especially close with my co-host Utah at the time, Taylor Rule, who now works at ZNS. And so Daryl Miller has been a legend. He's worked at many places. He's trained a lot of the people in the industry. He was a consummate professional. He gave a provocative air so that you would pay attention to him, but he was a professional and he knew how to do his business. But of course, Father Time is undefeated. And so Daryl Miller has now passed away at the age of 69. At the age of 69. He's a legend, and he will be remembered, and he will be missed. But of course, I quickly, before the show went live, just quickly grabbed a couple of his highlights from his career. You would remember him from his election announcing. It is legendary, and every Bahamian knows it. You would remember him from the straw market and announcing the straw market when it burned down, and quite a few other things. Before I get to the topic of the day, I want to just highlight a couple of these things so that you can have fond memories of this legendary Bahamian. A Bahamian who reminds me that we are all here for a purpose. We are all born for a purpose, and we must fulfill that purpose. We are born for nothing else. And there's something that everybody is good at. No matter they're good or bad, no matter anything else about them, there's something that every single Bahamian is good at. Every human being is good at. Daryl Miller was good at journalism. He was amazing at journalism, and he is a legend. Not only was he a legend, but he passed on his talents to others, other persons that he trained, including Candia Dames and others. And so the Bahamas is thankful to him. and he will be sorely missed. I want to segue there by showing you, I think, the most famous clip of Darold Miller. We could not find official clips, so we had to grab another clip that. So there's some people talking over it because they had actually recorded this, not me. And this is the most famous clip of Darold Miller of them all. And we will always remember Darold Miller for this one very entertaining moment. This is typical Darold Miller.
Darren Cash of the F&M 132. Dr. Danny Johnson of the PLP 120. Dr. Danny Johnson of the PLP 120. Polling division number 3, the DLA's candidate is Theophanes Cochinomogulus. Theophanes Cochinomogulus. He has 30 votes. G-roll independent 0. G-roll independent 0. Let's go now to polling division number 8. I see why you gave me this.
Darold Miller, and he said it with such conviction and seriousness on his face. He is he will be sorely missed. A couple more highlights of the legend before we move on. A couple more highlights is one time Darold Miller was talking about the hurricane, and we know him for his coverages of the hurricanes over the years, but this one was extremely interesting. Watch it.
Category 1, Category 2, Category 3, Category 4, and Category 5 are only separated by about 15 to 20 miles per hour winds. This thing, Category 5, started 156, 157. This thing was 195. At one point, it was 225. This was a Category 10.
Darold Miller said it's a Category 10. Only Darold Miller could make us laugh the way he did and entertain us the way he did. As I said, Darold Miller is a legend that none of us will ever forget. He was a legend. Darold Miller, there's, I think, 2 more shots that we have of him. One of them, Darold Miller, when he went back to ZNS. This was when the government took back over and he was going back to ZNS. This is the highlight.
We're going to go all over this country. Yes, we are walking back home to ZNS. It's time. We're going to walk all over this country, from Mars Bay to Pleasant Bay, from Bailey Town to Matthew Town. We're going all over, hitting the road. We're back home, lively and provocative.
Yes, Darold Miller will definitely be missed. We were going to play another clip of Darold Miller when he was leaving ZNS during the show. He quit during the show and walked off. We thought we had that prepared, but we didn't. We didn't have that prepared today. And so, but ladies and gentlemen, Darold Miller is a legend. He will be remembered in the history of this country. We will never forget a legend like Darold Miller. Our children and our grandchildren will hear stories of him. We will see those clips forever and ever. Darold Miller, you served your purpose. You did your job. You contributed to the society in the way that you should. And for what you've done, we thank you. We thank you. Hats off and salute. And at this time, I would like to have a quick moment of silence for the one and only lively and provocative Darold Miller. I think that tomorrow every talk show will be should be talking about Daryl Miller uh, and remembering that legend of a man. Daryl Miller has left the building. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, I want to move on to something very serious that Daryl Miller was also concerned with as he did his talk shows. I want to move on to something very serious, and that is the crime rate in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to show you some statistics that may blow some of your mind, might be interesting to some of you, but we need to talk about murder in this country. We have to talk about it, and we have to look at it from a serious standpoint. Ladies and gentlemen, it's basically 3 years since the PLP has come to office. And in the 3 years since the PLP has come to office, they have done many things. And one of them is they've broken some records. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is the PLP. Ladies and gentlemen, under the Progressive Liberal Party, we have had over 400 murders in this Bahama land. In this country of only 200,000 adults, we have had 400 plus murders in 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not sustainable. 3 years and 400 plus murders. I'm going to show you some numbers today, and then we're going to give you some solutions. We won't leave you hanging there. Because what happens now is that you have politicians, when they're in opposition, they have all manner of things to say about murder and the performance of the present government as it relates to murder. And then when they get in, all of a sudden they blame parenting, families, and society. They say the church need to come and help. They need to get involved, and they blame everyone else except themselves. Before election, they had all the solutions. After elections, they blame the parents for murders. I do not blame parents for murders. I do not. You're going to understand why as we get to the end of this live. Parents have a contribution to this, but the government has a responsibility. Parents have a contribution to their children and a responsibility for their children. But when it comes to adults, it is the government who has a responsibility to make sure that they are in line, that they are not offending the rest of us. Once that child reaches the age of majority and becomes an adult, the responsibility is on the government. The government who has taken the children from the parents for roughly 8 hours a day, they spend more of their waking hours with the government than with their parents. They learn their behavior. They are trained by the government. Some of the training is by their parents. You see your children probably between the hours of 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and probably in the morning when you're dropping them to school. And you see them on weekends. The government sees them from probably they reach the school at 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning until 3 or 4 in the afternoon when they leave. The government spends more time with their children, and they spend more time conditioning the brains of your children. And so, yes, parents have a role to contribute to this, but your children is sitting in front of the government every day and being told how to think. They're being taught how to think. They are under the control of the government. I want you to take that very seriously. And this is why we need proper education. But we'll get to that in another. That's for another show. But ladies and gentlemen, murder is at 400 plus. 400 under the PLP. 400 plus. Now you will remember this. You remember Brave Davis and his merry men went on to the roundabouts and they posted these pictures under the F&M. So this in 5 years, the F&M 490 plus murders in 5 years. That's 5 years, 2 years additional. In 5 years, the F&M had 490 plus murders. But under this administration, the PLP has had 400 plus murders. Now I'm going to show you some other statistics because it's not just the PLP who has failed. Like the PLP has shown us before, the F&M has also failed. I want to show you something. It's very serious, y'all. I want you to stay with me today because this is a serious conversation. I want to show you something. Under the PLP, under the Progressive Liberal Party, from 1973 to now, we have had 2,402 murders. 2,402 murders. Under the PLP, from 1973 to now, we have had 2,402 murders. And under the F&M, we have had 940 murders. I don't know if it's come up on your screen yet. I'm showing it to you. So that is a grand total of, I think that's 3,000. I'm doing it in my head, 3,342 murders. Much too much. Yes, 3,342 murders. From 1973, we've had thousands of murders. But the majority of them under the PLP. I'm going to break that down for you because I'm taking this somewhere. I want you to see this. We're in class today. All right, so pull up your chairs and let's look at real numbers. Make sure your family and friends are watching. Use your ad highlights. Use your ad followers. I want to show you something today. All right, so that's what it is. That's some interesting numbers. Let me break something down for you. Serious numbers. Yeah. So the PLP and F&M as it relates to murder has failed. But let me show you over time. Let me give you a breakdown of the PLP and F&M over the years. And I'm going to give you that through each one of the ministers of national security. I think that's some interesting information that you might want to see. Through each minister of national security. Let's pull that up for them. Here we go. So we'll go back in time. And so I'm going to go to each minister of national security. So bear with me. All right. So we're going to go to each one of them. So the ministers of national security over this time with the responsibility for national security. All right. So we had the first one was Anthony Roberts from 1973 to 1974. He was the Minister of Home Affairs. He had responsibility for national security. Darold, 1974 to 1977, Ministry of Home Affairs. Darold again from 1977 to 1979, Minister of Labor and Home Affairs. It was modified at that time. Clemente Maynard, 1979 to 1984. Minister of Labor and Home Affairs. So Maynard took that over. And then Loftus Roker took it over. We all know Loftus Roker, another legend we just lost, 1984 to 1987. He was Minister of National Security. That's when the ministry changed. Paul Adderley, 1987 to 1992, until the Progressive Party was booted out of government. Arlington Butler then became the Minister of Public Safety and Immigration. That's 1992 to 1993. Arlington Butler continued from 93 to 95, Minister of Public Safety and Transport. And then Cornelius A. Smith, some of you may remember that C.A. Smith, later become Governor General, was the Minister of Public Safety and Immigration. Minister Frank Watson was the Minister of Public Affairs and Public Enterprise. He was also Minister of National Security, responsible for national security. Cynthia Mother Pratt was the Minister of National Security from 2002 to 2007. Orville T. Turnquest was the Minister of National Security and Immigration from 2007 to 2012. Bernard J. Nordich from 2012 to 2017, Minister of National Security. Then Marvin Dames, 17 to 21, Minister of National Security. Now it's Wayne Monroe, 2021 to present. And so let's delve a little bit deeper. I wanted you to hear their responsibilities because some of the names of the ministries have changed. And so I wanted you to hear their responsibilities before I get into the number of murders for each year during that period. Let's have a real conversation today. Anthony Roberts, 1973 to 1974. In 1973, there were 16 murders. In 74, 19 murders. We compiled this data using artificial intelligence, going through the archives and searching articles, et cetera, et cetera. So we're hoping that there are no errors in here. But these are the numbers that seems official, all right? Darold from 74 to 77. So from 75, there were 24 murders. In 76, 22 murders. In 77, there were 23 murders. So the murders were around in the low 20s at that time. And before that, it was in the teens. And so Clemente Maynard took over in 79. And so in 1980, there were 20 murders. In 1981, there were 28 murders. Then 82, there were 32 murders. In 83, there were 28 murders. In 84, there were 24 murders. So at one point, it jumped into the 30s. That was in 1982. And of course, that was a big deal. The murders have now reached the 30s. That was a big deal to the Bahamas at the time. But of course, to us in this day, if we have 30 murders, Jesus, we would celebrate that, and the government would be doing a good job. All right. So it moved to Loftus Roker. In 85, there were 22 murders. In 86, there were 28 murders. In 87, there were 31 murders. So it jumped in the 30s again, but still around in the 20s for the most part. Paul Adderley took over, and in 88, and remember, these are the drug years. This is the terrible drug years. And so I would still give them a fail overall for national security, because these are the years that drugs took over this country, and it was horrible, and our country was embarrassed internationally. So while murders were low, we failed in terms of national security because we did not defend our nation from these drug dealers who caused our Bahamas to go into a different direction. But we'll talk about that another time. So Paul Adderley took over in 88, and it was 36 murders, 89, 46. So now he jumped into the 40s for the first time under Paul Adderley. And this is when everyone tired of the government. Oh, the murders are in the 40s. Oh, the government got to go. In 1990, It was 45 murders. That was a big deal. And then it came down to 28 murders and then jumped back up to 41 murders. And that seemed like such an amazing thing. Isn't history interesting? So I don't think Butler took over because the government was booted out, the PLP government, and the FNM took over in 92. So in 93, there were 35 murders. In 94, there were 52 murders. So under the FNM, the murders jumped up to 52 for the first time, in the 50s for the first time. And then in 95, it went to 50, 96, 51, 97, it went down a little bit to 46. And so now it was in the mid-range in the 50s as a norm. Frank Watson took over in 97, and there was 56 murders. In 98, in 99, it was 60 murders. In 2000, it was 74 murders. So it jumped in 2000 to an all-time high. 2001, it was 43 murders. Cynthia Mother Pratt took over in 2002, and we're going to confirm all of these. 52, then 50, then 44, then 52, then 61. Orville Turnquest took over, and it's 78, 73, 86, and then it jumped to in 2010 to 94. And then in 2011, it skyrocketed to 127. And the Bernard Nottage, we have listed here 111 to 119, and then 223, then a record of records in 2015 under the PLP, the murders reached 146. And then in 2016, it went to 111. And the Marvin Dames, it skyrocketed to 122. In 2018, 91 murders. In 2019, it went to 95 murders. Then in 2020, 73. And of course, this was around the time everyone was on lockdown, so it was hard to get out to murder anyone. And then in 2021, it was 119 murders. And now in 2022, it jumped to 128 murders. 128 murders, it skyrocketed. And then we had, I don't have the exact numbers here for 23, but it looks like 128 again or somewhere around there. We can confirm that. And then it's up this year, it's up to 94 murders. 94 murders. Wow. And so this is the timeline. So murders have crept up in this Bahamas. So it just sounds like the norm for us. It just sounds like, okay, that's what murders are. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to take those numbers and compare them to other places to see, so we could get a real perspective on where we are as it relates to these murders. Because for some people, they might feel, okay, yeah, well, there's countries with more murders than that. So I wanted to see where we are in comparison. I think this is going to be interesting for right-thinking Bahamians. This is going to be very interesting for right-thinking Bahamians. So I wanted to compare it to cities that we know around the United States first. United States. I want to compare it to cities in the United States. So here we go. So, and these are big cities. In most United States cities, have millions of people, et cetera, et cetera. So when you list their murder rate, I want you to compare that to a city, to the whole Bahamas that has 400,000 persons. And we know most of the murders won't be by young children. So if you count the adults, the persons who can be charged and convicted of murder, you have 200,000 versus these countries with millions of people. So let's do our 400,000 versus their big cities. I'll start with Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So far, their murder count went to 83. We are at 94. All right, 94. I hope I didn't miss a murder and we're really on 95. All right, but last time I checked, it was 94. So correct me if I'm wrong. So the estimate for Dayton, Ohio, for the whole year, 2023, 97 for the whole year. We are at 94. That's Dayton, Ohio. Let's go to Shreveport, Louisiana. 2024 year to date, they have an estimated 42 murders. That's a big city, Shreveport, Louisiana. Only 42. We have us, the Bahamas, 94. Making sense? Let's keep going. I want you to look at these cities and I want you to compare, because we have to stop settling as a people for the failure of the PLP and F&M. So West Palm Beach, another big city that some of us are familiar with, has 19 murders. The last data I have on here, sorry, that's 2019. They had 19 murders. Okay? That's the last data I could pull up. That was for the entire year. Washington, well, I can skip over that because I don't have to update. Let's keep going. Okay. New Orleans, all right? Big city. New Orleans only has, the estimate for 2024 so far, 115 murders. Remember, we have 94. Miami-Dade County. All right, this isn't just the city of Miami. This is the whole county, everyone around. So this Miami, Opa-locka, Hialeah. This is the whole Miami-Dade County. You understand? The whole of it, not just the city of Miami. We're talking about millions of people, 2.7 million to be exact. And so Miami-Dade County, you know where they are in murders? 65. 65 murders. Where's the Bahamas? 94. So Miami, where all of us love to go, and we're so afraid when we go there, some of us, have 65 murders. The Bahamas has 94. And then we say, oh, wow, how could America put and I was gonna play this for you, but I got tied up trying to do investigation, see what's going on with Darold Miller. How could America put an advisory on us? They put an advisory, a crime advisory on us this year. And people were like, oh, America has more murders than us. I'm giving you the real numbers. Miami has 65. We have 94. Orlando, another city, big city, 47 murders for the year. 47. The Bahamas has 94. I want you to see why you should be ashamed of the failure. I'm going somewhere with this. All right? Going somewhere with this. Philadelphia, year to date, 84. Big city like Philadelphia, 84. 10 less than us. Over 1 million people, 1.57 million. And what does the Bahamas have? 94. Wow. Even the big New York City, 8.4 million people. Hear that? 8.4 million people. 162 murders in that big city with 8.4 million people. Even Atlanta, Georgia, the metro area is 6.1 million people. Atlanta, 118 murders. We got 94. My God. My God. And so some say, oh, there's nothing the government can do about murder. What can they do? What do you expect them to do? Well, I expect them to do what they said they would do before they got in. They said they would deal with the murders. They put up the billboards and said that they're going to deal with the murders, didn't they? So why aren't they dealing with the murders? We have to have this conversation. Because they said they were going to deal with the murders and the murderers. Okay, so let's go to other places. Let's see what's up with that. All right, let's look at other countries. Let's look at it. Let's look at London. Let's say London. London. How many murders does London probably have? Right? So London, a big city again, millions of people. I mean, this is London. I don't have to describe and tell you what London is. As of October 2024, London, England has 103 homicides. Now, all of the numbers I'm giving you is homicide numbers. And I want to show you the difference because our police don't give you homicide number, they give you murder numbers. So anything outside of murder, they won't count. You understand? So like manslaughter or, other things that could be considered a human killing a human, but they don't count it as an intentional murder. They don't count those. But I'm giving you the numbers of all homicide, which is the killing of a human being by another human being. That's a homicide. So that's what these people are giving you, the full numbers. But we don't get that here. All right. So that's 103 homicides in London. I want you to see the perspective to this because we got to fix this. All right. We got to fix this. So, and again, London, just the greater London city area, where these homicide numbers are from, it's 9 million people, by the way, with 103 homicides. We should be ashamed of the failure that we keep allowing in this nation. 9 million people. All right? So let's go to some other countries, like Singapore. Y'all don't Google. Y'all tell me how much murders Singapore, homicides, not just murders. That's any killing of a human being by another human being, but they don't count here. Homicide. Someone guess and tell me how much homicides. And don't Google it. Just say a guess. How much homicides do they have in Singapore? How much homicides do they have in Singapore? All right, average every year, annually. Every year, annually. Come on. And Gillian Bartlett said none. No, it's not none. I don't think any country has none. Someone says 50. Okay, you're getting warm. Someone says 80. Okay, you're getting warm. 20. Brenda Ferguson, 20. Someone says Singapore is a strict country. 21. Someone says 120. Stanley Bow says 1. Philip Johnson says 10. Trina says 1. Stanley Bow, you are correct. Depending on the year, they average about 1 to 2 homicides per year. For the whole year, population over 6 million people. They average 1 to 2, mostly 1, murder, homicide that is, per year. You see? So we need to start aiming for success, not failure. We need to start comparing ourselves to countries that are success, not countries that are failures. So I wanted to know what Dubai was. Dubai averages fewer than 5 homicides per year. As of 2024, they average, and that's 3.05 million people in Dubai. Fewer than 5 homicides per year. Get it? As of August 2024, in Barbados, there's been 34 homicides. 1/3 of us. 1/3. I'm trying to pull up Bermuda. Well, their rate is 4.5 per 100,000. And they have, let me see. Well, I don't have the exact numbers. I'll have to calculate it. But ladies and gentlemen, I pull up these numbers so that you can get an idea of how bad we're failing. Those big cities with millions of people that they have to manage, millions of people that they can't control, millions of people where you could just say, you know what, the parents are at fault. Why the parents are, that's millions more parents. So how is it that they can get things under control and we can't? And so I want to know if there were any places that were able to control crime, any place that was able to find a way to say, hey, let's reduce crime, and let's see what we can do to reduce crime. Because it can't just be that you throw up your hands in the air and say, um, there's no strategy, there's no way out of this. It's the parents' fault, even though you lambasted the parents. You lambasted the other government for their failure before, but now all of a sudden, it's the parents' fault. I want you to think about that very carefully, because they're not giving us any solutions. So the question is, are there any countries that manage to come up with a plan to deal with murder and to deal with serious murder rates? All right. And so I decided to look around. I didn't just decide. I was studying this for some time. So I won't make you feel like I just started studying this. And I wanted to compare it to a couple of places. And one of those places that I wanted to compare it to bring to your attention was New York. New York had a serious crime problem. And I don't want you to take that lightly. New York is known as Gotham City. New York had a terrible crime problem for many years. All in the 80s, the place was horrendous. If you went and walked on the streets of New York, they would pull you in an alley and you could get raped right there in an alley, and they mind their own business, so they could hear you in there screaming and no one is going to really help you. You get mugged. It was known as the mug capital of the world, basically. And if you went in there, you would be mugged. You know, it was more likely than not that you would experience a mugging if you freely walked the streets of New York. Up until the 1990s. Something happened in the 1990s. Something happened. What happened in the 1990s in New York that changed everything? Well, they did two things. Two simple things, you know. Two simple things. One was they targeted. So when they tell you the story, they'll tell you some nice, neat stuff that they focus on the smaller stuff. They call it the broken window theory, where they focus on the smaller crimes, and because they believe if visibly you could see smaller crimes, then it would have a culture in people's mind that they could be free to commit whatever crimes they want. And so they says that psychologically that's what they did. They focus on the smaller crimes, the jaywalking, and that kind of stuff, and that was the start. But that's what they tell you. But that's not really broke crime in those areas. What really broke the crime was pretty interesting, and I think it could work here. One, they targeted corrupt officials. Because the criminals, most of the criminals who get away with these crimes is because they're connected to corrupt officials. officials that they pay off, officials who are doing their bidding, because the officials are getting a piece of the pie. And so they are aiding and abetting, is what they're doing. Think about that. They're aiding and abetting. So what they did was they targeted corrupt officials, and that included government officials. All right? Government officials and police officials. They targeted the internal affairs section went berserk throughout New York. All right, and so they targeted these officials. Next, included with targeting the officials, they targeted the mafia. They went head to head with the mafia. And so a fellow with a name that sounded like the mafia, Rudy Giuliani, and of course the commissioner of police at the time, they put some things in place. And they targeted the problem, the mafia. These petty crimes were being committed by people connected to the mafia. And so they just went after them. And the gang leaders. They went after the gang leaders, the mafia. And that resulted in crime going down significantly in New York. The same thing happened in California, which had a similar problem. They targeted corrupt police, corrupt politicians, and they went after the gang leaders. California's crime went down by half. The same thing happened in Boston. It's simple, you know. You know why that's so interesting, how they were able to break crime in those countries? Because here in the Bahamas, when the murders were happening at the beginning of the year, the police started to say that one of the solutions was they're going to talk to the gang leaders, etc. And so a lot of us started to stand up and say, talk to the gang leaders? You mean arrest them? And then the police came out and said that they've been talking to the gang leaders. Carlos Reed came out and said, yeah, they've been talking to the gang leaders. So one of the reasons the mafia was so successful for so many years is because they made you think they didn't exist. You would talk to them, they said, no, I'm just a businessman. I have this flower shop here. Okay, I have this club. I have this restaurant. I'm a good businessman. They pretended not to be there. But in this country, the officials, the commissioner of police, the minister of national security, and everyone else implicated that we are talking to the gang leaders. What are you talking to them about? They were even talking about having a meeting with all of them to bring them together. To do what? Lock them up? So, you know who the gang leaders are, and instead of doing what other countries did that got rid of that got crime way down, including London, that got their murder rate down, but that's including heavy gun restrictions, instead of doing what you can to target these people, catch them in the act, because what does a gang leader have to do? Crime. So if you know who he is, you just watch him and wait for him to do what he does. You do surveillance. That's what they did in all of these countries or cities that I'm talking to you about. If you know that this is the gang leader, what you sitting down talking to him about? You sit down, you watch him through the proper process. You tap his phones. In New York, they would set up shop. They would rent facilities right next door so they could watch them. And when they're going to commit a crime, you be there. What do you mean you're talking to them? What manner of nonsense is that? I don't understand that. Someone needs to please explain that to me. Because it makes no sense. And so I decided, and I'm going to cut it short. So I was going to read exactly the plans that these cities did, the exact plans that they did. I was going to read them out for you so you can see them. But basically, I'll put it in a nutshell. They got rid of or targeted corrupt officials. But here you can't lock up a corrupt officials because the prime minister them corrupt. I'm not going to say this any other way than that. They said that one of the things they did was they made sure that the public had confidence in the police, trust in the police. Whenever the public lost trust in police, according to all of these cities that reduced crime went up because the people don't trust the police no more. And that's what's happening here. So they dealt with the corrupt officials and the police. They dealt with it from the top. They dealt with them. And then they targeted the criminal gangs. How hard is that? What are you setting up roadblocks on the road for? Harassing everyday citizens, booking them for violations. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but how could that be your main crime fighting strategy? The criminal can see you a mile away. 1, 2, if they're going to move their drugs or guns or whatever it is, they are going to have a car that goes ahead of them. They're not going to go on one-way streets. There they know if there's a roadblock ahead, they can't stop or turn around. And if they have to take that road, they have a car that goes ahead of them that's clean. They don't have nothing in there. And then the car is going to tell them, hey, the police up here, don't come this way, go the other way. So you on the roundabout, when you know who the criminals are, and you could just watch them, target them, and lock them up. And then you make it seem like, oh, this is so difficult. No, that's because the criminals are working for the politicians in this country. And they work with their permission. I was also going to break down for you. I actually put the PLP's plan that should be in the garbage, the blueprint for change. We showed their whole entire crime plan. I mean, and their crime plan is utter garbage. I mean, it is so embarrassing. We also prepared the back and forth between the PLP and FNM over the years. Every single year that they did it, we linked it to the newspaper articles, et cetera, and we're going to show you the criticisms of the PLP and FNM against each other. I'm not going to waste time with that. Go search it for yourself, because every single term, whoever's in opposition criticizes whoever is in about their failure to deal with crime. I have this lined up here, but I'm so tired of the wasting time with this PLP and FNM. We've wasted enough time with them. I also put what do you call it? I put the blueprint for change in artificial intelligence and told them to analyze that garbage piece of paper that we fall for. And they could be sending another plan, for us to fall for again. And then they're going to bring this dream team to tell us to vote for this dream team. They're so qualified and this and that, and this is going to be different. We're going to bring change. And so the FNM is going to come with change. So the FNM right now, for their strategy, they're targeting what they call young entrepreneurs or young business persons, so that they can come and say that this is the dream team. This is going to be change. We saw Arinthia Komalafe was campaigning in the Carmichael Road area this weekend. She was campaigning in the Carmichael Road area. I think it was Friday or something. Friday or Saturday, but I think it was Friday. She was campaigning there to be the candidate for Carmichael for the FNM. That's Arinthia Komalafe, campaigning to be for the FNM. But just last election, she was campaigning as the leader of the DNA and convincing all of us of why we shouldn't vote for the FNM. For 2 elections, she campaigned against the FNM and told all of us the FNM is garbage. the FNM and the PLP is a problem with this country. That's what she told us, you know. She told us to believe her and trust her, that she's genuine. That the FNM is the problem. The PLP is the problem. Now she there campaigning for the FNM. The same FNM, you know. The same FNM she told us was the problem. She said it was system. I ain't just about the leader. It's the system. They just the whole party corrupt. That's her. But before election, I told all of you, I get back to crime in a minute. Before election, I told all of you, I said that Komalafe has sold out. Because see, my intelligence is mind-blowing. And sometimes I can expose everything because then that would cause persons to know where I got the information from. But I told you all that Komalafe had sold out before election. When the FNM did that sham protest, they told the DNA to do that sham protest on Bay Street. It was because they felt like the COI was popular because we were doing protests and they wanted to split the third-party votes. And so they said, we're going to send you there. And because we arrested Lincoln and these others, that's how he got popular. So we're going to cause you to get popular because the DNA wasn't getting any traction. So they said, go out there and do a protest, pretend like you're protesting. So and a couple of her executives went out there and protest and then went home. And then they come back and say, yeah, we can lock you up for that protest. This must see a couple of weeks later. We can lock you up for that protest and we ain't gonna put you in the jail, in the cell. Like how we throw Lincoln them on the ground, on the pissy floor, and made them sleep in there for 48 hours. No. We can just let you go sit up in the boardroom. And then we'll let you stay there a couple hours. Then we can let you out triumphantly. And then you release your candidates a couple days later. And then it's going to give you that popularity. And then those persons who would be drawn to voting for a third party would not vote. It would split the vote. Some would vote for you. Some would vote for Lincoln them. And that takes away the third party threat because this was their theory, you know, that they cannot get Lincoln to sell out. It's the first time we can't get the strong third party to sell out. So we got to split their votes. And so that's what Komalafe them did. And I went and I showed y'all that Komalafe's husband worked for Brent Simonette. I showed the documentation, the documentary proof of that. I showed you that he's a puppet of the oligarchs, Brent Simonette and them, Bahamas First. I showed you everything. And I said, she's already sold out to them. All right. And that's what it was. And so now you see Brent Simonette is pushing a puppet and his name is Michael Pintard. See, I have to just keep you informed of what's going on. He has a puppet. His puppet is called Michael Pintard. And so Pintard is his puppet and he endorsed him. And of course, Komalafe is his puppet to her husband. And so now he's pushing them together so that they could form this thing that they want to call a dream team. That's going to bring you nightmares and give Brent Simonette full control of this country, that they can rape and rob it. All right? And so he brought his one side of his puppet, Komalafe, brought the other puppet, Pintard, together so they could say, you see, work for this young dynamic team to bring us into to change. Unstoppable change is what they're saying. But all they want to do is give you more misery. And so I'm just being real with that. And you have to spread the word. Make sure the Bahamian public knows not to trust these sellouts. And so you're going to now see other third parties popping up from all over the place, popping up all of a sudden. They ain't been here working and fighting for the Bahamian people, but there's money in being the party to come and split the votes. There's money in that, all right? And so all of them are now going to try to come together to show themselves to be a force so that they can make this money. Now, they know they can't win, all right? So they have to be mentally challenged to feel that they can just come pop up out of nowhere, haven't done any work, haven't fought for Bahamian people, disappeared after election. I think they could come and then just because they offer themselves that people are just going to vote for them. But they don't care about that. They care that, listen, if we just come and be the spoiler for the COI, then to split the votes, then we could just make this money and that's it. We don't expect to win. We just want to make this money. And so I'm telling you what happens behind the scenes. Last election, there were persons and third parties who came out and formed a fake coalition party, a fake coalition, I even call it the coalition, and was going door to door saying, hey, I'm with Lincoln Bain, I'm the coalition, and this is the candidate. So when you see this name, vote for this name. And they had a false candidate there. And that was Cassius Jordan there. And so they formed a fake coalition. And so these persons benefited from doing that. All right. And so this is what you have to look out for. I'm sorry, I took a little segue there because it's really important for you to know what's happening because there's a lot at stake. They're even going to send candidates to come and offer to run for us. They're going to want to send people to say, hey, I'm coming to join you. I'm going to be a part. I'm going to contribute. And then they're going to get inside, work with us, start being seen to work with us. And then they can start kicking up problems and saying stuff and making accusations so that the public could say, see, COI ain't got it together, man. See, they fighting. Oh, see this person, they was a COI and see what they saying now. All of this is a part of the plan. And that's why I tell people they have to be sensible. A gentleman called me on the last week. He called me and he said, oh, you have this particular person as the face of the COI and they in the WhatsApp group cussing people and this and that. That's a bad reflection of the COI. I'm like, of who? And I said, listen, the leader of a party and a party is not responsible for persons who support their party in the barbershop arguing with you. That's an adult who's responsible for his own actions. That's not Brave Davis' job. If a PLP is on social media and they're cussing out people, that ain't Brave job to call them and deal with them. That's nothing to do with Brave Davis. That's an adult. And all of us as Bahamians have freedom of speech and our rights to state what we want to state. We have freedom of speech. And so if someone says that they support the COI and they're on social media and they cuss you out, that's that person. Now, if you're talking about the leader or the deputy leader or the chairman, etc., or one of our candidates that does something like that, then you call and we handle that. We deal with that. But to tell me that, oh, Caprio was on social media and cussing and she was cussing out people because they was talking about Brave, that Brave should deal with that? What? No, she has freedom of speech. And I said to that person, I said, every single day I wake up, they are cussing me, rowing me, making noise and making lies about me, making up stories out of nowhere, just making up lies about me. I said, I don't respond to them. I don't call Brave and tell Brave, talk to this one and talk to that one. I don't call Fred Mitchell and tell him, man, talk to this one, tell him stop it, tell him behave. I said, if you are in a political group that is meant for political debate, then you go in there for political debate. And if it gets heated, it's heated. And if you don't want to be in there, then you leave. We have to have political maturity. You can't say, oh, because this COI person cussing me out, I ain't voting COI. Forget the country. Let the country burn. Let Brave them keep raping and robbing us because this person who's a COI cussed me out. I said, next week, that person who said they was a COI, next week they could be PLP. So now when they cuss you out, you say, I ain't voting for PLP. It is so utterly ridiculous that I don't understand it. I talked to a senior person in the media and they said that someone had at their station had at Eyewitness News had done a story about us, and the story wasn't a good story, and persons on while the story was being aired, persons was on there cussing them out and telling them this is a bunch of foolishness. They saw it live, they're seeing what happened, and persons were telling them off, and they even talked about the ethnicity of the person. And so the person who was in charge, of the news, came to me and said, "Oh, y'all okay again, eh?" I said, "What? I never had a problem with that person." I was like, "Yeah, no, but your people was on there cursing them." I said, "My people? Who? Which one of my candidates? One of our executives?" Like, no, the people on Facebook, they was there cussing. I was like, "Mom, you're a journalist. What does that have to do with our party if they are supporters. I grew up arguing in the barbershop. I grew up. If a PLP in there cuss me out, I ain't gonna say I ain't voting for PLP because someone in the PLP cussed me out in the barbershop. This is such idiocy. It's unimaginable. You have about maybe 20 people on social media support the COI, and they go there and they fight and they argue because they fight for their country, not for the COI. They're fighting, and they say support the COI. We had short of 10,000 people that voted for us in the last election. You don't see 10,000 people on social media. You don't know all of our supporters. You don't know all of our supporters. Most of the people attracted to the COI are intellectual people. They are thinkers. They are people who want to see the document. That's the kind of people that are attracted to the COI. And so, people who are into cults, they vote for the PLP and F&M. They just say, oh, Grammy was a PLP, Grammy was a F&M. I just voted for them. Why? I don't know. I just voted for them. I do not encourage that in the COI. That is not how Bahamians should think. We should vote because it's the right thing to do, because it's an intellectual decision. But the people who are following cults call us the cult because they can't imagine that Bahamians are on social media and just so angry at what they've been experiencing. They can't think that Bahamians can be on social media and not be paid for it. Because the only people they're used to seeing on social media talk, because most Bahamians don't want you to know who they are because they don't want to get victimized. So they won't be on social media behind their name speaking the truth or speaking out against government. All right? So for them to see that, they think, well, they ain't paying them for that. So they must be just a cult. No, the PLP and the F&M are a cult. And anyone who votes for them because Grammy voted for them is a numbskull. Their brains are numb. Now, if you have some actual reason for voting for them, that's fine. But to blindly vote for them without really sitting down and seeing the situation of this country, that's not the way of the New Bahamas. And I sorry I had to speak so strongly on this. And I sorry I deterred from what I was talking about. But these people following these cults, and because we decide we want to be free from the cult, just like when you want to leave the cult, all of a sudden everyone against you. Oh, you crazy. Oh, you ain't got no sense. We got to wake up, Bahamas. Let these cult people tell you're wrong for waking up. Tell you you're an idiot for waking up. Start calling you names. We want a free Bahamas. We are independent thinkers, and that's what the COI means. The Coalition of Independent Thinkers. We can think on our own. Not one of our MPs are going to be under the whip. If your MP wants to vote against our party's position, they can vote against our party position. There will be no whip. They go vote for how their people tell them to vote. Because we have a mobile app all of our citizens have access to, and you can be able to tell your MP when you go in there to vote on something, you can be able to tell them, I ain't for that. And they're going to be able to have the live statistics with blockchain, so that verifies it is you that made that vote, and you're going to be able to tell them, listen, I ain't voting for no gay marriage. And then you could tell them, of course, that ain't even going to be tabled. I'm just giving you an example. That will not even be tabled under the COI. All right? I was just giving you an example. But you'll be able to tell your MP, I don't support this particular bill. This is my vote. And so we're going to change the game. But I just thought I would detour for a second there to get that straight for you. All right? Well, let's express freedom of speech. Speak your minds on social media. Have an intellectual argument. And if someone cuss you out, that's because they tired and they fed up. People are tired of being abused by these politicians. Yes, they can cuss. Yes. They're tired of getting used. and abused, of course people are going to speak out. People are angry. And they cuss you out if they see you defending a wicked politician that is abusing them. That ain't nothing to do with me. That ain't nothing to do with the COI. Bahamians are fed up. And when people fed up, they start to cuss you out. That's their employee they talking about. That's the man they've been paying. They've been paying Fred Mitchell bills for years. So if they want to cuss him out because he's been squandering their money, then that's their right to do so. They can empower Fred to hire a bunch of special lifestyle people in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And he could be traveling all around the world, eating caviar and champagne and eating steak and sending the pictures back. And then can tell you, don't be asking the MP for nothing, stop begging, save your money. While he's spending our money. And you think people ain't gonna cuss them out? Let's go back, then I go open the lines and hear what y'all have to say about all that. But you all continue to speak your mind. That's all Bahamians. Not who support the COI. Freedom of speech is a must. And like I told that person who called me complaining about someone who was rowing them in a WhatsApp group, I said, I have had people say things with me where I could actually arrest them. I don't. And that person was one of them who called me. Make up all kind of nonsense. Oh, Lincoln do this. Oh, Lincoln say that. And it'd be total lies. I don't waste time with that. I'm busy planning the new Bahamas. I don't waste time with that. Because people have freedom of speech. And I've already told them. They can say all kind of things with me, but I know one thing. Anyone with common sense could think. And this for the thinkers now. This ain't for the college people in the PLP and F&M. If they had anything on Lincoln Bain in the last 20 years, I've been burning fire on them. They would have done jail me long time. They would have done with me long time. If they had anything legitimate on me. I didn't go on through, 3 elections now? Oh, we could bring out this and then bring that on them. Well, you can make up something new. You can set him up. I'm waiting for you all to set me up. I know you got something. They can make up something before the next election. They could try everything in this book. But I know one thing. If they had something, y'all don't think I'd have been in jail already? Y'all don't think they would lock me up for defamation long time if anything I was saying was a lie? Oh, he lying, he's lying. Lock him up. So he could sue y'all. And he could subpoena all the documents. Come lock him up for anything he has said. So he could subpoena every document, every phone record, every email. Lock him up. 20 years? But if they keep repeating, he's a bad guy, he's a crook, he's a bad guy, he's no good, don't listen to him, he just lied. They keep repeating it, they feel that people are going to start believing it because they keep hearing it. They hear it so much, it must be true. Oh, he's bad, he's bad. But I can tell you one thing, this next dispensation, this next election is about bad versus evil. So since you say I'm bad, yeah, I'm bad. Like everyone else in the Bible. We some flawed men. Because the perfect men, scared to lose their little mortgage. The good men, scared to lose their little job. The good men, scared to speak up because they don't want to get victimized. The good man sitting down here and doing nothing. So the bad man got to stand up for the Bahamian people. And the bad man got to fight the evil men who are destroying this country. So this election is bad versus evil. Let's do it. I ain't coming here like them other politicians trying to make you think that I'm some angel. I come to tell you, okay, I was born in sin and shaped in iniquity. Thank God for Jesus. I'm a bad man, but I can fight them evil men. And if you got something on me, then 20 years? Well, you're all slow now. 20 years? Bad versus evil. Let's do it. Let's go back and then I go open the phone lines. Lord, I'm so sorry. I took a detour. I'm so sorry about that. But I think those things needed to be said. All right. One thing with God, now he always using these bad men. He used that murderer called Moses, used that murderer called Paul, and this drunkard called Noah, and I mean he just like bad people. Always picking bad people. But they always call the good people bad, and the bad people they call good. Wake up. But anyway, this before I open the phone lines. So the artificial intelligence pulled up the plan of the PLP, right? And they talked about what their crime fighting strategy is. And it listed them. It said their core strategy for fighting crime was these things. It says to strengthen border protection, also to community policing, research-based policies, partnerships for rehabilitation, second chance jobs program, expunging records, homelessness and support programs, and urban renewable city revitalization. So I asked the AI, I asked them, isn't this a good plan? What's the problem with this plan? Why has this been so ineffective? And so basically, AI analyzed the plan and said that this plan is very effective. It says, despite these measures, the plan has been largely inefficient in reducing crime. Here's analysis of why. It says lack of immediate impact for long-term strategies, from long-term strategies. So in other words, they have nothing to deal with crime today. They're talking about some stuff that, and they keep, like right now, they keep talking about what they're going to do, It's 3 years later, what we're going to do. So AI looked at their plan and says, this is the problem. Lack of immediate impact from long-term strategies. It says community policing. While community policing is a proven strategy for building trust between police and the public, it tends to have a low impact. The plan's success relies on deep engagement and structural reform with police forces, which takes time to implement effectively. However, in the short term, crime remains high, suggesting that the community policing aspect of the plan hasn't yet been manifested. It also depends on trust between the police and the public. Okay. And right now, the public don't trust the police. And when I say that, I mean the leadership of the police force, not the everyday working policeman. It says second chance program. This program focuses on rehabilitating former offenders and reintegrating them into society. While commendable, it's more of a long-term solution to reducing recidivism rather than addressing the immediate spike in violent crimes. That's why they're saying it's not effective. They did nothing to deal with crime today. Number two, the next problem, it says, this is what AI picked up, all right? The next problem, it says, over-reliance on rehabilitation without immediate deterrence. So over-reliance on rehabilitation without immediate deterrence. And the stuff they're doing will not really rehabilitate, all right? And so immediate deterrence. It said the PLP plan focuses heavily on offender rehabilitation and social services, but does not offer enough immediate deterrence, and enforcement-based strategies to reduce ongoing criminal activities. There is little mention of stronger policing or harsher penalties for serious crimes like violent offenses or gang-related activities. And so even AI can look at their plan and look at the newspaper clippings and what they're talking about and see that they are BSing us. It's artificial intelligence. That they are BSing us. All right? It says also expungement of records. Although the idea of expunging records for minor offenses helps integrate people into society, this measure can be seen as too lenient in the face of rising violent crime rates, et cetera, et cetera. So, in other words, you had the Minister of National Security say the fellow who raped a young girl say his sentence, his 3-year or 4-year sentence was too harsh. Raped a little girl. I mean, these people sick. All right, so this AI now. This AI. I should just pull this up while I read. Yeah, let's read this, man. We're doing education today. Let me just pull this up for y'all while I read, so y'all can see what I read. All right, this. Let me share my screen. Hold on one sec. Let me see if I can share this. Yeah, let them see. All right, so let me put this big on the screen. So limited results from research-based crime policies. Research-based crime fighting strategies are crucial, but their success depends on quick adaptation and implementation of findings. The absence of immediate, impactful action suggests that these policies are not yielding visible short-term results. Additionally, the document lacks detailed explanation. They're talking about the blueprint for change. Additionally, the document lacks detailed explanations on how these research-based policies are translated into real-time operational practices by law enforcement. In other words, they flamming you. You see? Number 4, underinvestment in immediate police and security resources. Oh, wow. It says, although the plan mentions increased investment in border protection and community policing, it lacks a comprehensive investment in law enforcement resources that can improve policies' capacity to respond to immediate violent crimes. There is no clear commitment to expanding police tactical units or implementing technology advancements such as CCTV surveillance or modern forensic tools. There's no plan for forensic, not even a lab. The lab don't cost much to do. No lab. The community policing unit is mentioned, but the document doesn't offer concrete strategies. You see, that's what you need on how police presence will be increased in crime hotspots or how law enforcement will be modernized to meet the current crime challenges. And this is exactly what the COI is going to do with you. We're going to present you concrete stuff. Number 5, for the 5th reason why it says their crime fighting strategy is flawed or ineffective. Urban renewal focuses on long-term infrastructure, not immediate crime. Urban renewal projects like including street lighting and cleaning up neighborhoods for long-term crime resolution, as they can deter crime by creating safer environments. However, these are infrastructural fixes that do not address immediate rise in homicides or violent crime rates that need swift policing and crime prevention strategies. Clear action for tackling gang violence, gun control, and organized crime networks leaves a critical gap in addressing the most serious types of crime. Next, inefficient focus on gang and gun violence. The plan does not sufficiently address gang violence, which is often a key driver of murder rates in urban areas. Without a targeted approach to dismantling gangs or addressing the flow of illegal firearms, the plan misses one of the core contributors of crime in the Bahamas. Guns are coming into Haiti. The guns are coming in through Haiti. All right? They're coming into Haiti. So, and Haiti is buying it legally from America, bringing it into Haiti, and then they're selling it to the criminals, shipping it to the Bahamas. Simple as that. 7, and as long as the government is allowing this influx, this still an influx of Asians. They're coming by boat and by plane still. It's going to continue. Overstatement. Number 7, overstatement of rehabilitative measures. Overestimation of rehabilitative measures. Rehabilitative programs like the STAR programs, while helpful for reducing long-term recidivism, may not be robust enough to tackle individuals involved in crime or those repeatedly involved in serious criminal activities. These programs do not offer immediate relief for the ongoing public security crisis. In other words, overestimation, they lie. Perception of weakness. Crime policies are not just about effectiveness, but also about perception. The PLP's focus on expunging records, providing jobs for ex-offenders, and emphasizing rehabilitation may be perceived by the public as a lenient approach to crime and to the criminals, especially when homicides and violent crimes are increasing. This perception can undermine public trust and reduce the deterrent effect of law enforcement. All right? And so they went on to give a synopsis of it. And so that's artificial intelligence. All right? That's artificial intelligence that can see the problems. And they gave another answer, but I won't read through all of that. They went into a lot of other interagency coordination, legislative hurdles. The laws are garbage, basically. Data-driven strategies, rehabilitation programs. We said that addressing the root cause, which they're not doing. They're not going after the leaders of the gangs. They're not going after the gangs when they know who they are. Community engagement is one of them. Resource limitations, implementation challenges that they've been having. So all of this is talking about and external factors, right? And it also says public perception and trust. It says if the public perceives the government efforts as ineffective or insincere, it can lead to decreased cooperation with law enforcement and reduce community participation in crime programs, etc. And so if artificial intelligence can look at their plan and see that it's flawed and that they are basically airbagging us, gaslighting us, some of the young people will say, then we have to raise our intelligence. All right? We have to raise our intelligence. I can't wait till their plans come out so we could go through them piece by piece. But guess what? In the meantime, we're going to release real plans to you. All right? With solutions to all of these problems. So I'm sorry I talked so long today, but I had to address a couple of things. So I'm going to quickly open the phone lines before we have to go. I wanted to talk more about the actual solutions. I need to open the phone line to give you a chance. Lincoln, when marijuana becomes legal, would you allow all Bahamians to have? Yes, all Bahamians will have ownership of anything in the Bahamas. There will be nothing that Bahamians are not allowed. Bahamians will be allowed to own casinos. All right? Allowed to own casinos, allowed to own, have ownership in whatever is in this country. We are going into ownership of everything. We're going to transform ourselves from slaves and slavery to owners. Right now, we're hearing that there's a conversation that is about to go on, so I might have to get arrested again, just letting you all know. The Cabbage Beach debacle that has been going on for many years, where they've been trying to take over one little piece of strip of land that's our right of way to access the beach. And so now, you know, when they first locked that gate, I went there with Dr. Miss and them. DNA also went there. I went there separate from them. And we went there and they were there. Politicians were there talking and just talking to the nose. I said, listen, man, I don't have time for this. And we went there and we broke down that fence. All right. And we got arrested. They came and arrested us, but some things are worth getting arrested for. All right. You can't take my access to the beach, the children's access to the beach, the vendors' access to the beach, and that is a right of way for Bahamians. And we found out that the PLP government secretly allowed them to do that. And so we went there and broke it down. All right, because it don't belong there. And so, you know, when Minnis came in, you know, he threw out the case. And then, so the PLP went there again, this PLP administration, and locked the gate again. What? So we went there and opened the gate again and put all the, sorry, that was on the Menace. The same Menace who went there to take it down. I'm sorry, I misquoted. And we went there as an organization and took it down. We opened, and unlocked the gate again. Of course, some of the vendors was the ones who actually physically did it. But we went there and helped them, and we lift all of their property back on there and told the developers, don't even think about it. So now the new trick that they are pulling up their sleeves, the new trick is that the developers are saying they're ready to start billing. So what they can do is they're going to offer each one of those beach vendors that they're going to give them $300 a week, a salary now. They're going to let them work for them instead of working for yourself and being an entrepreneur. Yeah, it's this serious. Instead of working for themselves and being an entrepreneur, you come work for them, make $300 a week. Now, minimum wage is $260. They could pay you $300 a week. They could give you the umbrella and the chair or whatever. You work for them for $300 a week, and you don't work for yourself no more. Listen to me. If any one of you Bahamian entrepreneurs, some of you can make $1,500 a day, $1,500 a week if you don't go out regularly, if it's slow, etc. But some of you make $1,500, could make that in a day, depending on the day. If you settle for $300 a week, you don't deserve anything. You don't deserve the air that you are breathing. You don't deserve this land that we call the Bahamas that we are walking on. That is unacceptable. So when they meet with y'all, don't accept that. I went to jail to fight for you. Fight for your rights. Don't sell yourself short. Slavery is over. A new Bahamas is coming, where all Bahamians will benefit from this country. You hear me? All Bahamians will be empowered. That's what we're fighting for, Don't sell out. Meet with them, Talk to them. You could hear anybody out. But don't sell out. I will talk with anybody. I would sit down and talk to Brave, I'll talk to him. I'll talk to Pintard. I'll talk to Menace. I'll talk to anybody. But they can know that they can't buy me. They can know that. And they can know that the only conversation I'm interested in is the empowerment of Bahamians. Let's open the phone lines for a couple of minutes. I only got a few minutes. So let's open the phone lines. 803-5995. You can call a regular call, or you can WhatsApp call. Either one is fine. Let me take this off of silent. 803-5995 is the number. Call me, man. Tell me about the stuff we've been talking about today. All right. Phone is already ringing. Good afternoon. You are live. Hold one sec. We can't hear you. Hold on. I don't know what happened just now. Did I lose that caller? Okay, looks like I lost that caller. 803-5995 is the number. You can call in and be a part of this conversation. I know I spoke long today. Let's go back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. You are live. Go ahead, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Bean, and good evening, Bahamas.
Good evening.
This is Charlotte. Mr. Bean, I love this live, and the thing about it, I love the fact that our people are waking up. The conversations have now changed. Well, the conversations have long shifted. People are having conversations on the bus, in restaurants, on the job, about change, about the Coalition of Independence. They're starting to talk about the country's business. Once upon a time, it used to be our mothers and grandparents in the beauty salon talking about Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful, what's the next episode of this and that. Now they're talking about the country because of the information that was brought to them. And I can say that the Coalition of Independence is that organization, is that party that has actually educated the Bahamian people. So I am very proud of the work that we all are doing, that the Bahamian people have decided to come together. But one thing that is really alarming, the murders that are happening in our country. Fathers are being slain in the front of their children while holding their children. And it seems like we've become desensitized to what's going on in our country because there are so many things going on. You know, once upon a time, you could have paid attention to this particular situation that is going on in the country. But now there are issues everywhere in the healthcare system, the education system, the social service system. Yes, immigration, we've been having a problem with that for years. But now it has become so overwhelming that all of our systems are feeling the strain. And then here we are faced with a possible food shortage. And instead of being proactive, they're waiting to see how the situation is going to turn out. Looking at the fact that there is war going on the other side of the world, food containers are being held up at port. The Bahamas is relying so much on food coming in. What is the plan? What is the agenda of the government to make sure that our country, our people do not starve? Yes, we can do backyard farming, but food security is a national concern, a national security concern, since 90% of our food is imported. What is the plan? It seems like we have a reactive governance system instead of a proactive system. We see what's going on in the world. What is the plan?
Yes.
Well, anyways, this is something for our people to talk about. And by the way, of course, this is campaign season. I want to encourage our people, because we are independent thinkers. When the politicians come to your door, put the questions forward to them. How are you going to secure our country in today's, in the time when the world is going through such crises? How are you going to secure our people? What are you going to do for our constituencies? What are you going to do not only for me, but for my children's children? I need to hear the plan. So when they come knocking on the door and they start talking, listen to what they have to say, but put the questions to them. We are past allowing these people to just throw things down our throat for us to swallow. Anyways, thank you so much. And I just want to encourage our people, if you have not registered, get out there and register. Time for us to pick up that patriotic stance and fight for our country, because if we don't fight for it, who will? The night changes here.
Thank you for your call. Thank you, Ms. Green. Appreciate that. 803-5995 is the number you can call, regular call, or WhatsApp call. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, the world may be going to war. I want you to be ready for it. The world is could be going to war. Depending on how Israel retaliates, it could lead to an escalation, depending on how they retaliate. And if they just go and throw up a couple missiles and leave it at that, then it may go away. But if they attack if they attack nuclear sites, or if they attack oil sites, then we're going to war. All right. And when I say we, I mean the world is going to be going to war. So just be ready for it. The problem is, like Ms. Green said, we can't even feed ourselves. We 50 years and they destroyed agriculture. There was a post on Facebook recently they brought to my attention where the person was saying we don't have agriculture because Bahamians are lazy. No, there are over 700 licensed Bahamian farmers. Our laws destroyed farming in this country. The Perry Christie and Hubert Ingram, especially Hubert Ingram. Good evening, you're live.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ben. How you doing, sir?
I'm awesome, man.
Okay, I just called, man, it's ridiculous with this murder rate. It's very ridiculous.
Yeah. Can you see how Miami got 65 murders and the Bahamas got 94 murders?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I just called to let the Bahamian people know there's a boat just landed in Niagara with over 500 Haitians, and Morton Salt is not giving the defense force no more fuel because they owe them $1.4 million.
What?
Yep. There's a boatload with 500 Haitians all over Inaugural right now as we speak.
Well, the first thing is apparently these Haitians got fuel, so take their fuel as a starting point. But the government need to pay their bills. They in trouble everywhere.
Right.
Well, while they traveling and balling and living their best life.
Exactly. I just was about to say the same thing. I just was about to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just call and inform you to let the Bahamian people know that, we face a whole lot of problem right now with these Haitians. Santo Domingo is rounding them up and they're getting them out their country, so they're gonna start moving over on this side.
Well, I will tell you this. The problem has not ceased. It's just that the reporting of it has stopped so that they make you feel like, it's not important right now, but it's still happening. They are coming by plane now. They're coming in by plane. They are coming in. By boats. They're still coming in. And the biggest tragedy is not just the ones coming in, the new ones coming in. The biggest tragedy, okay, I lost a caller. Hold the line, caller. I'll get right with you. Hold the line. The biggest tragedy is that they are pretending to break down shanty towns. They can't wait to go after Bahamians now. But they're pretending to break down shanty towns. But what they're doing is they're making deals and finding housing on our dime for these illegal immigrants, putting them in housing in this country, all over the Bahamas. Every constituency you go in, as we're knocking on doors, because we never stop knocking on doors. People say, you all need to get on the ground. No, we've been on the ground. So I'm going, for example, in Pinewood, and I'm going in Polling Division number 11, which we've completed. And there are apartments and houses in there full of Haitians. I mean, people cannot speak English. Again, we're not against Haitians, but the government is working to replace Bahamians. The government is working to disadvantage Bahamians. They're not telling us what's going on. They're taking our money and funding what's going on. So they'll come in, wait, this is shanty town. Let's just break down this piece of the shanty town, leave the rest because we ain't got homes for all of them. So let's just break down this part for these said we have homes for, and then let's put them in homes, and then we could go and praise and say, look, we broke down the shanty town. Praise us. We're doing what we're supposed to do. And they're faking. They're faking. All right. And this is a serious problem, and we're paying for this, and we're going to pay for this if we don't stand up to the government and their tricks, what they're doing. I'll come back to more of that in a minute. Call you live. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Bain. Just like the gentleman just said about this boatload of Haitians who came into Inagua, if you notice, we haven't heard anything from Mr. King in months.
Yes.
I'm sure Brave has told them, or Monroe, or maybe Fred Mitchell, to not report.
Yes.
If they capture any boat of Haitians coming in, we haven't heard anything in all of these months. We haven't heard but repatriation. We haven't heard anything in reference to illegals coming into the country or them leaving.
Yes.
But like you say, the Bahamian dollars, our tax dollars, is paying to house these people, and Brave is all happy.
And they're pretending like they're breaking down the shanty towns. But you know how you could tell they're not doing it? You could tell that there's a side deal because Fred Smith and Luby Georges and them ain't saying a word while they're breaking down these shanty towns. That's because they already have a deal that they are housing these people, giving them papers, getting them straight. That's what they are doing.
I totally agree.
And they're spreading them in every constituency right now. Every vacant apartment, they're putting them in. Every vacant house they see, they're taking it over. And they are putting these people up. I want you to know that. So eventually, these people are going to have children. These children are going to be able to vote. And you are going to be outnumbered in your own country. And your children would have left this country to find a better life.
Amazing.
Our country is in trouble. Thank you for your call. Our country is in trouble. If we don't win this one, I mean the Bahamian people, your country gone. Your children are being told that they're overqualified, they're getting educated, and then they have to move away for a better life. I went through the register. Call, I'll be right with you. I just have to make this one point. I went to the register to see how many of our actual registered voters are between the age of 18 to 29. I went through all the registers. Call a hold the line. You're calling number 2. Just hold the line number 2. I went to the registers to see how many, what percentage, and 13% of the registered voters were between the ages of 18 to 29. 13%. More than almost 50%, 48% of what we saw so far was, and I mean, not Pinewood, most of the constituencies, 48% was 50 plus. That's almost half. And like 43 or so percent or something like that was 30 to 50. So that means 87% basically is 30 and up. But the majority of the population is actually below 30. That means that something is missing. I know a lot of them didn't get to register under that snap election with Minis. They're discouraging a lot of them from being registered, and many of them are discouraged. They don't see any hope. But a bigger part of the problem is a lot of our 18 to 29-year-olds are leaving the country. They done left. They going to college and they ain't coming back. That's why they're a small percentage of the registered voters. You all better wake up. And you are replacing them with uneducated laborers of that same age. You all please fight with me as we save our country. This ain't about no one else, their ethnicity or their country. This ain't about hating nobody. This but loving this that we got is all we got. Because the rules about the change in other countries, Trump may very well win in America. This is a high chance that he's going to win. That's a 99%, in my opinion, that he's going to win. That means immigration policies are going to change. The immigration policies in Canada has already changed. So people are already coming back. People are already being sent back. So instead of fixing this, people move, but you should have fixed this. Let's go to phone lines. Good afternoon, you're live.
Good day, Mr. Bear.
Good day.
First thing is, I want to say rest in peace to Darold. Condolences to his family.
Hold one sec, caller. You're number 2. Hold one sec. Continue. Caller number 1, continue.
Like Mama say, right? When
Yes.
you tell one lie, you got to come back and tell another lie to cover that lie. Right?
Yes.
In 2012, I believe, it was either 2011 or 2012, when the Ingram administration was in power. The same Brave Davis did a murder billboard campaign all over the Bahamas.
Yes.
They erected the murder billboards all along the highways at the airport where the tourists would have seen it. And when Vanderpool Wallace, the FNM minister then, told them about it, they was like, "Oh, would you want us to hide the truth? You want us to conceal the truth? We are not about hiding the truth." But now today, in just 3 years, it's done 400 plus murders under his administration.
Wow. Not 5 years, 3 years.
3 years, right? He did a billboard all over the place, and then he could say, "Oh, at the time he had no knowledge of the effect that it would have had on tourism." I mean, come on. But now under his administration, in 3 years, 400 plus murders already. In 3 years and counting, I guarantee you we'll have 100 murders before the year out.
Yeah.
Okay. And when he was campaigning, he said that they had the solution for crime. They had the solution for crime. They said that they're going to do it. This is the habit. And then now you have Fred mentioned the same, well, what y'all want us to do with crime? What y'all want us to do about it? I mean, these guys can't be serious.
Yeah.
You know, and these the guys who now saying that they need another term to finish what they've started this term. So if you've already been in power for 3 years and your time is running out, you haven't completed anything, and now you need another term? Yeah, fool me. They do this every election where they get together, they start all these projects right before election. Say, see, this is we doing, do it so far, and then it never get completed. Then when election, when the building sit there for another 10, 15 years, it ain't completed.
Wow.
It's just a big sham that they do every election.
Yeah.
Right? And I hope the Bahamian people pay attention to that, because it is definitely a big sham.
We'll continue to evangelize and wake the people up. Thanks for your call.
We sure will.
All right. Caller number 2, go ahead. You're live.
Thanks to the COI have in place for those caught with murder.
Well, that's a good question. Well, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we implement capital punishment. All right? It's in the Bible, and it is in the law, and we have to carry it out. And no one is going to stop us from implementing capital punishment. And so we believe that if you take a life, that your life will be taken. That is the first thing. Some people say it's not a deterrent, but it's not meant to be a deterrent. It's meant to be a punishment. It's not about being a deterrent. So prison isn't a deterrent because we have an 87% recidivism rate. That means people keep going back. That means it's not a deterrent. So that means you don't send people to prison because it's not a deterrent. That makes no sense. So we are going to implement capital punishment. There are other things that we're going to put in place that people are not going to want to murder. One, we're going to have programs in place for our young people. We're going to be presenting all of our plans in short order, so you're going to see. To the point where we're going to take them off of the street. All right. We'll explain that more some later. If they're not on the street, then the gangs won't be able to recruit them. All right. They're going to have reasons to live. There's things we're doing with culture and tourism, etc. That's going to make a life. For example, the entertainment industry. What we're going to be doing with our young people is going to cause them to have a reason to live. They're going to be professional entertainers. We're going to reveal all of this later, and then pin them to copy it after they hear us say it. But we're going to have things for our young people to do. It's going to blow your mind when you hear it, but I don't want to put it out there yet. You're going to hear it in the coming months. Okay. But that's going to take them off of the street. All right. Also, everyone is going to benefit from their natural resources from their sovereign wealth fund. If you commit a major crime, that is going to be taken away from you. You're going to be a fool to give up your sovereign wealth fund because you want to rob Grammy and thief her purse or do any of these kinds of crimes. And so it's going to be a fresh start for everybody. But if you commit a major offense, you lose your benefits. All right. And so that's gonna cause you to not want to do that. We are gonna have proper forensic investigation. We're gonna have a forensic lab, so that the murders aren't investigated based on hearsay. So the murders won't be, the fella was wearing a black pants and a red shirt, and who would have wanted to see him there? Who he had an argument with lately? That's how they investigate for a lot. And some of it is based on your phone. Like the fellas go with their phone on them and commit murder. So they say, these phones was in the area. Let's grab all of them people and see which one of them we want to investigate. But we're going to have proper forensic, like you've been seeing on TV for years from the 90s, where they could tell that your DNA was there because your skin shared and they got that piece of DNA and they know you was present. And they have proper evidence. So the DNA labs are not expensive and we're going to put them in place. So we have proper investigation. We have talented police officers who can do this right now, but they don't have the facilities provided to them. So you're not going to be able to get away because of other things that we're going to put in place in terms of policing. Like, for example, we're going to have police officers patrolling 1 per car, not 2 per car, but they're going to be working closely together. When you go in the States, only 1 police in a police car, only 1. But they are working together in a different area. So, for example, most of our organized communities, like Elizabeth State, Seabreeze, etc., they have 1 way in, 1 way out, or 2 way out, front way in and a back way in and out. All right. So if you have a police officer to the front entrance, for example, and a police officer to the back entrance, and then you have a police officer that's patrolling on the inside, and then you have drones available and CCTV, etc. These criminals can't get away because if you shoot someone in Elizabeth Estate, you got to pass one of them police to get out. And the CCTV can see you and they can see where you're going. And the police at the central command can coordinate and say, he's coming out the back. And the fella from the front collapses to the back and they catch you. You could never get away. All right. So there's certain plans that we can put in place. All right. As far as I can see, we may have about 5 police officers that are going to be candidates for the COI in this next election. So crime is going to be a serious part of what goes out there. All right. So there's more that I want to say that we're going to put in place, but I'll leave it there for right now. But crime happens because people are hungry and that people don't have. And that's why crime goes up in December. All right, it always goes up because people have need. They gotta buy gifts and they gotta do this and that, and so they start robbing and stuff more. And so because you're gonna benefit from your natural resources, you won't commit crimes. So like in Dubai, you have 1 murder a year, and that's some some a worker who's there, and he probably get drunk on the weekend or whatever illegally because they don't allow alcohol, and do something out of the way. All right. But in terms of their people, they're not trying to commit no crimes. They're trying to preserve what they have, their country. So we won't have people hurting and starving, etc., in our country anymore. And so people that have less reason to commit crime. And if you commit a crime, you won't get away. And 2, we can make sure it's you, because I don't believe in capital punishment in our present system because it's too much gossip investigations. All right. I'm not killing no one based on gossip. All right. But if we have proper investigations and we do have the police officers who are capable of doing that and no corruption, then we can go to capital punishment, because when we kill you, we know that was you. All right. So that's the difference.
Good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your call. And so people will ask questions about caller number 2. I'll come to you right now about the Privy Council, etc. The Privy Council did not say, and I've shown you this in writing on a previous live, the Privy Council did not say that we cannot do capital punishment. They said it has to be the worst of the worst. So all we have to do is define the worst of the worst. And they did define it, but all we got to do is codify it in our laws, and boom, we can go back to capital punishment, but they don't want to do it. And that's where the problem comes in. All right. So sorry, I had that picture up in front of you all this time. Let's go to the second caller. Caller, you live.
Hello, good day. How you doing?
I'm awesome, man.
All right, good. Just want to say R.I.P. You know, he was a good man, and you know, it's a blow for the Bahamas.
It is.
Just want to say your vision is right on point, because if you look at all this money they're borrowing, it's almost like we don't have crime.
Yeah.
They borrowing this money and carrying it to different islands and developing tourism, which is they mind just on money. But if crime is happening, it's almost like they're forgetting about Nassau. And if y'all really think about it, if Atlantis could have another cruise port across from a cruise port, they planning on abandoning in a couple of years, because the mentality, they can't take it. You know, if y'all was to take this money and say, hey, listen, instead of asking people to sign up and use their home camera, which is for their personal use, why don't we use this money and put cameras on every corner? Just like how you say, how can you get away? And then you can get out of investment and deal with tourism and different things like that. You invested in tourism and tourists can't come here. What's the point of getting all this money and crime out like, it just don't make no sense.
Yeah,
you know, so
because tourism is our number one industry right now. The reduction of crime should be important to us. Just like moving forward, you know, manufacturing is going to be a serious issue in America. And so we should be getting into manufacturing in this country. But the problem is electricity. The cost of electricity is barring that, but we're going to fix that with solar. The same way tourism is our number one industry, so crime should be a priority. So we should have CCTVs everywhere. In England, they can find anyone in 7 minutes anywhere in England. Anyone. All right. In China, they can find you quicker than that, with over a billion people. And so that's because the CCTVs with facial recognition, etc., they can find you. So invest in it. Don't tell me you need private people to give you access. Put the cameras up and let's see what's going on.
And that's the problem. People are celebrating and being happy because they get this money and they're on the island doing this, doing that, but you forgetting about Nassau, all this murder. And when they try to escape, they come to your town. Why do you think so much murder start happening in Lutra? and God forbid it happen anywhere else. But some places you can leave your door open, you can leave your car open, like no problem. But in Nassau, you can and go leave your keys and come back outside your car gone, and you got your keys in your hand.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for your call, man. Gotta run. All right. That's the last call I can take tonight, guys. I'm so sorry I have a meeting, otherwise I would have gone over time. But someone asked a question, when will CBI be coming to the Family Islands? We've been coming to the Family Islands. We've never stopped campaigning. There are a lot of people who don't know that we are live every Sunday at 5. So please, everyone you talk to, remind them to come here and listen every Sunday at 5. Come ask their questions. If they don't understand something, if they want to know our solution to something, we have studied every single area of society, and we are ready to govern this country from day one. And very soon, you're going to see our dynamic release. You're going to see our candidates releasing our vision for the new Bahamas. Just stay tuned. All right. So someone says, when we come to Family Islands, we've been traveling to Family Islands. We've been traveling to all of them. We've been to Andres recently. We just came back from there. If just pay attention to my Facebook, and you'll be able to see. A lot of you are not getting the notifications because the government is blocking it. It's being blocked, so you won't get my notifications. So you just have to know to come here every Sunday at 5 o'clock, and I'll be here. If there's some issue or whatever, it'll be 8 o'clock, but it's normally 5 o'clock. But I will announce that it's 8 o'clock, and you'll see it right on the screen. But we've been at the Freeport frequently. I just came back from there. We've been to Abaco. We're going back to Abaco in short order. We've been to Andres. We're headed to Long Island. Long Island, we are coming to you in just a matter of days. And so I'm going to announce it to you in short order. But we're coming to Long Island in just a few days. I think it's on the 18th, but I'll get the exact thing. So we're coming to Long Island. We're going to meet with our people there. We're going to see you. We're going to talk to you, let you know a little bit about the vision for what's going on there. And we are ready to launch our Long Island candidate in short order. So we're looking forward to coming to Long Island. So we're going to be there very shortly because you have suffered too long. You know, under the FNM, you've suffered. Under the PLP, you've suffered. There's no reason that you should be going through what you're going through. But the reason Long Island has suffered is because, as far as they're concerned, you could vote for us anyway. So why should they do something for you if they know you can vote for them anyway? And then when the PLP gets in, they say, oh, well, that's the FNM. The FNM ain't do nothing for you. We ain't do nothing for you. And that's why you have suffered. And so we're going to fix that, all right? We're going to make sure that all of our people benefit from our country and that no island is neglected, because we're going to have island states and city government, all right? So we're going to be touching all of our islands. I heard these people on social, they had, what is his name? Leslie Miller. I'm sorry. I was going to describe him just now, but I'll stay away from that. Leslie Miller was on Shanique Miller's show, and they're terrified by us, so they're going to use these kind of shows to sell themselves out. And another fellow is on there. I forget what his name is. I think it's Ferguson. All of them sell their souls, saying that you need money, you know, to get this done, et cetera, et cetera. You need money until the people fed up. When the people fed up, they ain't about money. All right? And I want you to notice that we've not stopped from election. We've not stopped. We've been traveling. The week of election, we were down there in Anagua making sure they put those immigrants back on those ships when they were starting to make excuses. We were there, and we've been traveling to all of the Family Islands. We've been campaigning. We've had rallies. We've had conventions. We've been doing everything that they've been doing, traveling just as much as them within the Bahamas and doing everything. So I don't know if you're comparing us to other third parties in the past, but if you really look at what we've been doing, our convention has been on your level. Our rallies have been on your level. We're missing nothing. We are coming to take this country. We're going to match you with funding. We're gonna beat you with vision. We're going to let the people see that there's new vision for this country. And so we're not lacking anything. We have started putting out our candidates already. The FNM has not. The PLP has not. You don't know who's running for the PLP in the next election or the FNM. We have already started the process. We have been on the ground, and we are making this happen. Ladies and gentlemen, the evolution has begun. The new Bahamas is upon you. It's time for change. It's only going to happen if you make it happen. If you decide that this is going to happen, then it will happen. You have to spread the word. Let them know to come here every Sunday at 5. I will be right here. Sunday at 5, come right here and the message of the Bahamas. And so some people say, oh, you got to get on the news and this and that. The news has sold their souls to the devil. And so they, when dealing with regular stuff, they are A-OK. They're good, professional. But whenever something political is involved, they can twist it and do what they're told. All right? They're not going to give you the truth as it relates to us. They want to put out there that we're rebel rousers, that we're too angry, that we're rowing all the time. That's what they want to make people feel, that we're not presidential and we should not run the country, like they did with Randall Fox. They're not showing you that we're the ones having the intelligent conversations, while Fred Mitchell is calling people all manner of names and doing all kinds of foolishness. They are throwing jabs back and forth at each other with no intellectual conversation. They will refuse to have a debate. I challenge Brave Davis and Pintard to a debate right now. Pintard or Brave Davis and Brave Davis, the two of y'all come, because y'all working together. The two of y'all come, y'all can have all the questions ahead of time and y'all can prepare your answers. And I don't have to have the questions ahead of time. So give y'all an advantage. Let's have a debate, Brave and Pintard against me. And they can have the questions ahead of time, and they can have the answers, and they can bring the paper, and they can read off their answers. And I don't have the answers ahead of time. And I'm not allowed to have any pen or any paper, which, if you notice, I never carry pen or paper. Everything you're hearing is in here. I'm not saying in here, in my heart. And so let's do it. If they're ready, if they feel that this can be, if what I'm saying isn't true or isn't legitimate, tell them, let's go, man, let's do it. This is their chance to put me in my place. All right. Pintard is a poet. But I don't think he was a good one. I'm just being real. I can't think of any poem that he did. When you think of Maya Angelou, you can think of a poem. When you think of a poet, you can think of what they did. I can't think of any. I don't want to go there, though. We know his purpose is just to be there for Brent Simonet, to do Brent Simonet's bidding. And that's it. And some people are going to fall for that, you know. Brent Simonet is going to throw a bunch of money into this election because he can make billions of dollars. So he's going to throw as much money as he can to make his billions for him and his children. He's doing it for his children's children, for his grandchildren. The same reason that Frankie Wilson said he is doing it. See there? He said, for my grandchildren. He don't love the sign. Come on, Brendan, let's sign there with him. That's Frankie's sign. He looking out for his grandchildren. I am looking out for your grandchildren. Change is here, y'all. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm extremely late for a meeting. And God bless you. We'll see you next Sunday at 5 o'clock. Make sure that everyone knows to be here next Sunday at 5 o'clock. Let's start the evolution.